This is Daybreak Live. Let's get into it. Good morning to you.
A beautiful morning to you, Yemi.
Exactly.
Morning.
Good morning. Okay, so something happened yesterday. I'm sure you might have seen the video, circulating online, where the Oyo State Governor, Seyi Makinde, said in the videos that he described as vagabonds who once held sway within the People's Democratic Party have been expelled from the party, declaring an end to internal disruption in its affairs. He spoke on Tuesday, yesterday, during the unveiling of Oyo State PDP Secretariat in what appeared to be a response to comment earlier made by former River State Governor, that's Nyesomwike. I recall that on Monday, Wike was speaking at the party's National Executive Committee NEC meeting in Abuja, had vowed to protect the PDP from what he described as internal vampires, and also declared interest in the activities of the party's Oyo State chapter. So these two individuals who used to be friends are now giving us names. They are speaking in parables, though it's not something so difficult to understand now. According to Makinde, vagabonds are out of the party. According to Wike, I'm going to deal with the vampires of that political party, and I'm also very much interested in your state PDP. So these are the issues that we have in our hands, and it is actually very sad to say that these two individuals were united, in the last general elections. I'm talking about the G5. You see them, there was even a point they wore same clothes. I mean, we know them as friends, so I don't know how we got to this point, and I don't know what is really going on. But Makinde is trying to explain that, according to what I read yesterday and the videos I watched, that whatever it is that is going on within the PDP, Wike should not involve or your PDP in that. He's saying, okay, these are different issues, and of course, you have no right to say you want to come and take over, or you're interested in Oyo PDP. And then away from that as well, let's also talk about the fact that he mentioned something. He said when he came into the party in 2019, initially he was yoked with this vagabond, but now he said, I'm a born again, I'm a saint, I've decided to separate myself from them, things like that. And then he also mentioned the fact that even in 2015, these vagabonds started to gain traction or grew wings because of the leadership crisis, and that was the reason why the party lost election in 2015. And then Makinde said these vagabonds, 10 old, good years, they've been able to perpetrate all sorts of evils, and then that their time is up. He also mentioned the fact that they were expelled in 2025. Now, this is the problem, because there was a convention in Ibadan in 2025. I think before that convention held, they got a go-ahead from the Oyo State, High Court, and then the convention happened. But then, according to the Federal High Court Ibadan now, Federal High Court Ibadan is saying the convention cannot stand. As a matter of fact, it is not considered, by the court of law, because they didn't follow the court order. Now, this is the problem. The court now is recognizing the Wike faction of the PDP, which according to the Turaki faction should not really even happen at all, because according to them it's an internal affair. If at all there's a problem going on in PDP, why should the court interfere every single time? They should allow the party to solve their problem, because we are seeing expulsion versus expulsion. You recall, certain members were expelled in that convention, and of course later the Wike faction also expelled some certain individuals. It's a problem now, and then most Nigerians are saying, why can't the founding fathers of PDP step into this matter to ensure that peace is returned to the political party? I don't see that happening anytime soon. And of course, I think the people, let me say, the party supporters, are at a very disadvantage now, because I don't know how they want to do it to ensure that they'll support the party against the next general election. So this is the issue that we have in our hands, and it's really sad to see that these people will continue to throw subtle shades at each other, especially not even on the state level now, even at the federal level, really.
Well, I think I would start from saying, very importantly, that this is not just a personal vendetta. This is not just a personal fight or quarrel, if you would like. It is more about struggle for power in the PDP. So because if you listened carefully to the governor of your state, Engineer Seyi Makinde, yesterday, and maybe previous times that he's spoken about this issue too, you discover that, he has always come to say that, yes, I used to be a part of this. And because, of course, everybody knows that G5 was a thing that existed at the time. But I won't be shocked after all of this turbulent moment in the PDP if these guys get together, because I know it's nothing personal. it's just political. So when it happened yesterday that the PDP secretariat was, commissioned, you could ask questions. Of course, we were expecting Seyimakinde to mention names, of course, to talk about the people, the other faction, and what they are doing and what they are not doing right. But I think one of the things I'm going to allude to quickly is what he mentioned about some people holding the PDP for APC. So because that has been his claims that there is a faction that doesn't really want the interest of PDP to come to bear, and that conversation is now about a federal might versus a state might. And this is why Nyesomwike is currently serving as Minister of the FCT. So he's wielding, in a sense, a federal might. Seyimakinde is your state governor, of course. And so you can tell that if it boils down to who has more might in terms of federal strength or capacity, then Wike might have a upper hand in that particular discourse. But I think one of the things that we are even going to see is that after all of the expulsions, counter-expulsion and all of that, the vagabond story, how that if somebody is trying to hold you back, we are saying no to them and a lot of that, it still boils down to we understand, coming to a point of understanding that whatever happens, let it be for the best or the interest of the party. I think when they do this kind of thing, sometimes they really do not care who succeeds God. Sometimes they just want to fight dirty, get into the trenches, like people would say, and whatever they say, they don't care, they don't mind. Because I know at the end of the day, these guys can still come together. But what is more important for me is that they look for a way to help this party. And this is why I'm saying, if you do well or you do badly in your party, it affects the other party. Now, the incumbent administration of APC is enjoying this whole drama, and this is why they're enjoying it. There's a particular portion of the game that's supposed to be played by opposition party. If the incumbent is not doing well, it's the job of the party that is not in power to say, hey guys, you guys are not doing nothing. We are not seeing any impact. You are just wasting people's time and all of that. Put them on their toes and let them know that there's a lot to do. Because if it's all for the interest of the people, let it really be for the interest of the people. Put fire in their bosom to say, you guys are really not doing what Nigerians are expecting. What you're doing is a far cry from what you're expecting. So can you do better? So that particular power play or that particular opposition party play is not happening in the country. Now, this is how it's happening. It's happening from different quarters and parties. For example, Peter Obi will begin to speak about this administration, the use of the administration. Shure became notable about this as well. Quite a number of persons are speaking up against this party. I mean, it should have been the case of the PDP against the APC and maybe some other parties as well, not to disregard the parties or discount their, their leverage as well. But to say that PDP has once wielded such powers, the national powers, to say we've also done it before, and so if you are doing it this way, we don't think this is the right way, and then put fire. Let them see that there's so much to do, not just feel relaxed because they're having 23 or 28 or 32 governors to themselves. That's not what's more important. What's more important is, are the people enjoying the benefit or dividends of democracy? Are people enjoying this administration? Put that on the table of discourse. All of the fight about Wike, nyesomwike, and then the governor for your state, it's just a political drama. It's really not of nothing of so much importance, at the end of the day. But let me also mention that, the competing visions and strategy disagreement within the PDP party is not so, because I think some have said that we should get leaders who should come wade into this issue and try to solve it. But who are the leaders? Maybe that's the question, because people that are supposed to be leaders are the ones fighting like babies. No disrespect, but if you have to say that we need to call people who can help us, who are the people we can think about in the PDP? So they are all, everybody's forming, yes, I've done so much for PDP, so you can't just stand me out. You can't just say I'm not important, I'm not consequential to this party. Yes, you will not prove your consequentiality by dragging yourself. You will not prove your consequentiality by fighting yourself. You can only prove it by solving issues that are underlying, by solving the party issues, even when it strikes or pains your ego, even when it's not very palatable or is away from your preferences. I mean, the party should be at the foresight of everybody. Now, maybe some would also say, well, there's been the allegation that the president is interested in what Wike is doing, especially in the PDP, to hold them back and so that PDP will not really do well. But that conversation is really not the best if you have to think about it. Because if you say Wike is holding the PDP party. And then everybody seems to. So what about the people that are following Wike? Because if it's about Wike's personal interest now, we have quite a number of persons that are following, especially in River State, the Martin Amaiwule and his camp, and a lot of them following Wike, you know, close needs. They don't even see any other person to follow. They are following Wike, hook, line, and sinker, if so to say, just to follow him to the point of, I don't know, maybe no return. But you know, you might ask yourself, so what's the need for those people to? If Nyesomwike is trying, but I think one of the things Nyesomwike, from my own perspective, is trying to do is that it's trying to proclaim himself a very strong voice in the party. He's trying to say, what I say stands. If I mention something about this party, then it should stand. If you want to oppose me, you can go ahead and oppose me. But I'm telling you that whatever I say as Nyesomwike should stand in the PDP. And that's what Governor Seyi Makinde is not allowing.
Yeah, I think you're very spot on. Because a lot of things that you mentioned, are very correct, because especially with the fact that, you know, they are not playing that opposition party very well in terms of trying to correct some things that maybe the ruling government is doing. And then one thing that led to PDP losing that election in 2015 is anti-party activities. And then if care is not taken, it might repeat itself, you know, in this next elections. Because a lot of persons are saying, I want to be in the party, but I'll also do certain things that will help me gain maybe favor or loyalty from another political party. And then over time, this party has not been able to fix this issue. I just mentioned to you now that some persons were expelled from the party at the last convention, and then later on, Wike faction also expelled some individuals in the same political party. So what is really going on? So this is the problem, and I don't know those that can step in. But I want to believe, just like you mentioned, but there are still people, for instance, that the BOT members, or let me say the elderly ones who have been members of the party, you know, for years, even before the likes of, you know, Makinde and Wike joined the party. Maybe they can step in at this point in time, not just for anything, but so the people of Nigeria can have an alternative. Because a lot of persons will tell you the reason why they will not come out to vote is because they don't really know who to choose or who to vote for amongst the candidates. Imagine when we don't have, like, maybe good, I don't want to use that word now, when we don't have people up to like 4 or 5 persons contesting for presidency. You know, a lot of persons will tell you, because, I mean, 1, 2, 3, I'm not really interested in these 3 individuals, so I want to sit back at home and vote. So the opposition party, really, one of their major duties is to present candidates to the people, to present candidates to Nigeria, so that they can have that, you know, capacity to choose whosoever it is they want to emerge as next president of the country. And at this point in time, it's not even certain if PDP will be allowed to push a candidate. Because Adeleke left the party for that same reason and went to Accord, because if he had stayed back, he will not be able to contest for second term. Now look at the party crisis that is going on now. Same thing happened to Labour Party. The FCT polls, Labour Party could not contest. Why? Because of leadership crisis, until the court now said, okay, recognize Nandi as the chairman of the party. But then, you know, the deed has been done already. They could not contest for the FCT poll. So if care is not taken, it will affect, I just want to pity, I mean, the governors that we see have left. Abu Kefa's just left too recently. You know, we see have Dauda Law, who is saying, okay, I'm still very comfortable. Even Makinde himself said, I'm still comfortable in the PDP. And shortly after he met with the president, and of course the likes of Wike's aide, Larry Olaika, and of course Fayose came out to say that, you know, he was embarrassed. You know, he didn't really get to say much to the president, and then he came out to say, you know what, I'm comfortable in the PDP. I have no interest in moving to the APC. So these are the issues. If care is not taken, it will affect the remaining governors, you know, that are still PDP members. And of course, they might not be able to push a candidate forward for the next election.
I think I will just, let me just, you know, jump on the bandwagon to say that you mentioned something about the BOT, the Board of Trustees for the PDP. But, you know, all of this crisis we're seeing now reflects a structural damage, a structural weakness in the PDP. If PDP has been on the spotlight for, say, over 2 decades, it means that there should have been a structural arrangement that can see to issues like this. So if we are calling the elders of the party, which I think we should, and we are doing right now, to find a way to settle this issue, I think it's very important to also note that there's been a structural weakness in the PDP, which is why we are where we are. Because obviously, if there's no structural weakness, we would not have this for this long. Because obviously, if you run a party, you should have conflict resolution systems and strategies in place. Once you start a party, that's why you have constitution. The party has constitution, the party has its by rule and some of the things they follow and the guidelines they also undertake, which is very important. So if you do not adhere to that, it means that you do not have one, maybe, because there should be someone calling everybody to order to say, if you are going beyond the scope of our guidelines, then we might need to send you away. It's quite simple. They are not intentional enough, or should I say, the structure is lacking. The structural system, the structural arrangement is a bit not so well put together, which I think they should now start doing. The BOT and the elders of the PDP party, I think there's a call to them to really do what is right by their constitution.
Exactly, and I think it's a fine place to leave that discussion. And just to add, I think the Wike faction will be having their national convention March 20th and 29th. So that's another thing to look out for. Let's take weather reports now.